Chum, what did I tell you about the swords?
Not to take your life?
Not to play with them. They're not toys.
I know. I'm a sensei, master ninja.
How can I help you?
I have a 1873 Winchester.
Oh, sweet.
It was from the Battle of Wounded Knee, and I got the documents to prove it.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty significant in history.
What's the Battle of Wounded Knee?
The Battle of Wounded Knee, or the Massacre of Wounded Knee, because that's basically what it was. It was the winter of 1890. In South Dakota, the Lakota Indians were camped out next to a river. The 7th Cavalry was going to disarm them. They went into the camp. One of the Indians did not want to give up his gun. Somewhere, a shot rang out. The 7th Cavalry started shooting like crazy. Basically what they did is they started just massacring everybody. This was the last, I think, major conflict with American Indians. The Wounded Knee Massacre was a huge screw-up by the U.S. Army. Most of the Native Americans that were killed were not even armed, including women and children. And it's important in history because this was basically the end of the Indian Wars, which had been going on since Columbus landed here. How much are you looking to get out of it?
I wouldn't take less than 60,000.
Whoa.
I just want my buddy to look at it. I just want to make sure this was actually from the Battle of Wounded Knee. You have paperwork here. I just want to make sure everything drives correctly.
All right.
Okay.
Yep.
Winchesters were popular with Native Americans for the same reasons they were popular with whites, because they were extremely reliable, extremely powerful, and it was just a really great gun.
And most of these guns, they were just traded for, correct?
Well, there was even a time when the United States military actively sought to arm Native Americans, and they would obviously do so with tribes that were on good terms with the government, and also some of them were obviously taken in battle. So Native Americans had guns for a long time, and the Wounded Knee Massacre was really kind of the last great event of the 19th century's Indian Wars. A really terrible moment in the history of the American West. The massacre at Wounded Knee, unfortunately, was a time when attitudes toward Native Americans were still quite negative. But this was a moment when things started to shift somewhat more sympathetically towards Native Americans. If we can tie it directly to the Wounded Knee Massacre, the 7th Cavalry, the significance of the gun increases dramatically. It's much more than your standard .73 carbine. Well, let's take a look and see what we got here. So what we have here is the unservable ordnance stores. Basically, it's a 19th century Excel worksheet. I mean, it's a sheet that's telling what they have, the serial numbers, the condition, and what they were going to do with it. Colonel James Forsyth, he was the commander of the 7th Cavalry, so that makes sense. January 3, 1891. Now, what's interesting about that particular day, after the battle took place on December 29th, the weather was terrible. As a result of a snowstorm, it wasn't until several days later that the 7th Cavalry was able to go back to the battle site and actively pick up and collect any weapons that had been discarded. A few of the other names down here, Whitside, he was a major, he was the commander of the 1st Squadron. So most of what we're seeing here matches up. I mean, this is the names we should see, these are the dates that we should see. So on here, it's listing this gun. Can you show me that?
Yeah, the 631, I think that's this 631.
Let's take a look here. Okay.
And then the serial number, it's, you know, it says 50423.
We got a Winchester .73 carbine, 50423. All right, so you have some really good paperwork here. So now the one thing we don't have in any of this is Wounded Knee. Those two words are missing from everything we have on here. But given all of the information that we have, the two individuals, the dates on it, I think we can make the assumption that this gun was taken in the aftermath of the Wounded Knee Massacre.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
Aren't you gonna put a price on it?
Well, I work at a museum. I'm not an appraiser, so I'm not gonna put a financial value on here.
I was kind of hoping that you'd probably say it was worth a couple $100,000, and then I could say, well, give me 60%. You know?
I'm sure you were.
All right, I'm convinced it's from the massacre at Wounded Knee. Let's talk about your price. You want way too much. You just don't get that kind of money for a gun unless there is something very, very special and it's associated with an individual. I'd give you like 14,000 bucks for it.
Oh, yeah, no.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you put this in auction, you will get right around that number.
Really? I got 12,000 into it.
You have 12,000 into the gun. So what's the lowest number you'll go?
I'd go 50.
Obviously, we're not going to know any business. Check around. Like I said, I really am being completely sincere with you.
No,
so.
I believe you.
All right, have a nice day.
Thank
man.
you very much.
This guy is off his rocker if he thinks I will pay 50 grand for that gun. Plain and simple. Hopefully, he checks around town, gets a lot of prices, and comes crawling right back to me.